Welcome back, people. How you doing? I hope you're all having a great day wherever you are. Right, I've got 15 incredible geography facts about the US by Geography Geoff. I read his name in the comments a couple of weeks ago, but I don't know what the video was saying to suggest to, but I definitely saw this in the comments. But I saw this on my For You page, the 15 incredible geography facts. So yeah, I thought I'd check it out. I'll give it a subscribe. I'll give it a like. Right, let's get on with it. What incredible facts. Every state's just about different. It's like its own different country on its own, isn't it? Incredible facts that the landscape's massively different everywhere. That's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, let's get on with it.
I guarantee you don't know just how weird and fascinating US geography is. If you want to wow your friends and acquaintances at the next party you go to, here are 15 incredible facts you need to know about geography of the United States. And let's start with the state that's both the easternmost and westernmost state in the US. We're talking about Alaska. This fascinating geographic quirk comes from the fact that the Aleutian Islands, a very long chain of volcanic islands extending from Alaska into the Pacific Ocean, crosses the 180th meridian, the imaginary line that separates the western and eastern hemispheres. Because some of the islands lie west of this line, Alaska is both in the western and eastern hemispheres, making it technically...
Time zones alone. He's got to say technically it's the
easternmost US state.
Yeah, that's crazy. Meridian lines and time zones and all that are crazy, aren't they? Who came up with them?
This is an odd distinction, as we typically associate the easternmost points of the US with places like Maine, but geographically, Alaska holds the title for both.
That is crazy, to be fair.
Since we're already talking about the eastern seaboard, which state do you think is closest to Africa? It might seem surprising, but Maine...
Oh, I want to guess then. Do you know what? Either here or here I'd have said there's got to be a reason it's Maine. But a little bit above and a little bit below looks as though it juts out a bit further. But there has to be a reason it's Maine.
Is geographically closer to Africa than Florida. Specifically...
I would never have thought Florida.
The distance from Quoddy Head, Maine, the easternmost point of the United States, to El Bedouza, Morocco, is roughly 3,154 miles. In contrast, the distance...
Oh, it's that next bit that's jutting out there then, Canada. I don't know where I am on the map now. But yeah, there's got to be a reason why it's there. Yeah, Quoddy Head.
From Miami, Florida to the same point in Morocco is about 4,025 miles, making Maine closer by about 800 miles. This surprising fact is due to the curvature of the Earth and the positioning of the continents. While Florida sits much farther south and is closer to the equator, which runs through the heart of Africa, Maine's location is much farther east and Africa extends much farther north than many people realize.
I didn't stop it in time. That little bit there. I don't know if you get my... I ask all the time. But I know it does. My cursor there, right there, that looks as though it's closer too.
Extends much farther north than many people realize. This geographic quirk highlights the often unexpected results of global geography, where straight lines on maps don't always tell the full story due to Earth's spherical shape. It's a fascinating reminder of how the Earth's geometry can make certain locations appear closer than we might expect, based purely on latitude. The population distribution of the United States.
Oh, just looking at that alone there, is it mostly more deserty out west? Wild West, it makes sense. But yeah, I've seen a lot of maps like, do you know, you see the funny maps with locations of things like, perhaps over there you've got locations of bookies or McDonald's and stuff. We have it over here like pubs, McDonald's and all that. But every time I've seen these sort of maps, everything does tend to be to the east. So that does make a lot of sense.
United States is
More built up.
strikingly uneven. If we were to draw a line just west of San Antonio, Texas, about 80% of the country's population
didn't realise
live
it was
east
that
of
much,
it,
though.
while only 20% resides to the west. This divide reflects both historical patterns and geographic factors. The western side of the country includes major urban centers like New York, Chicago, and Washington, D.C., areas that have been developed and densely populated since the colonial.
I reckon I must have been about, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, right? Both the name Stephen spelled PH and the name the word Chicago. I was probably 14, maybe 15, you know, when I realised that didn't say Chicago, and Stephen spelled PH didn't say Stepen. Right, my old school, the artworks and that up on the wall. Someone had written Stephen like in a fancy way with PH, and I genuinely thought he said Stepen for an entire term or semester, whatever you call it over there. And the same with Chicago. And I used to look at them and think it said Stepen and Chicago, two completely different bits of artwork. But yeah, I thought I'd share that. But yeah, Chicago.
Colonial era. In contrast, the western U.S., despite containing large cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco, is more sparsely populated, largely due to vast stretches of desert, mountains, and wilderness. The West's
But also, weirdly, I had heard of Chicago, as in Chicago Bulls and stuff like that, because I used to like the Chicago Bulls when I was a kid. Along with Miami Dolphins as well, football team.
harsh and rugged.
I was going to say, I forgot what I was going to say as well then.
Containing large cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco is more
never-
sparsely populated,
Gone.
largely due to vast stretches of desert, mountains, and wilderness. The West's harsh and
Makes
rugged
sense.
landscapes, such as the Rocky Mountains and deserts of the Southwest, have historically made large-scale settlement difficult. Even today, much of the land west of San Antonio consists of national parks, forests, and protected areas, contributing to the population imbalance. And one of the best examples of these sparsely populated western states is Wyoming.
Wyoming is dominated by cattle.
Wyoming is, of course, known for its vast open spaces and rugged landscapes. But perhaps most notably, it's known for its extremely low population. In fact, Wyoming's population is so low that it actually has more cattle than people. With a population of just over 580,000, it ranks as the least populous state in the US. Meanwhile,
is it?
the state's agricultural industry is dominated by cattle ranching.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of a city or something then. For a state, it makes sense, yeah. States are
Roughly
big places,
twice
aren't
as many
they?
cows as people.
Wow.
Cattle grazing plays a significant role in the state's economy, with beef being one of Wyoming's key exports. This reflects the broader trend in many western states, where large stretches of land are devoted to ranching and population densities remain very low. Stretching approximately 5,525 miles, the longest international border in the world is between the United States and Canada. This immense
did know
boundary
that.
runs from the Atlantic Ocean
That's
in
one I
the
did
east
know.
to the Pacific in the west, crossing diverse landscapes such as the Great Lakes, prairies, forests, and mountains. It also includes the border between Alaska and Canada, which alone spans over 1,500 miles. Despite its length, the US-Canada border is known for being relatively peaceful and unfortified, in stark contrast to many other international boundaries. Both countries maintain a healthy relationship, and their shared border facilitates extensive trade and cultural exchange. Additionally, the two countries have various agreements to manage their border, including the Great Lakes St. Lawrence River Basin Sustainable Water Resources Agreement,
That's
as well as
crazy.
various partnerships for national parks that straddle the boundary.
The Great
Speaking
Lakes
of
have
the
more
Great
water.
Lakes, Lake Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario are a global freshwater treasure, holding about 21% of all surface freshwater on Earth. These 5
That's
interconnected
mad.
lakes contain over 6 quadrillion gallons of water, providing drinking water for over 40 million people in the US and Canada. Formed by retreating glaciers at the end of the last ice age, the Great Lakes span more than 94,000 square miles and are vital to North America's ecology and economy. Together, they support a vast array of fish and wildlife and serve as important trade routes, with shipping channels connecting the heartland of North America to the Atlantic in both the east and south. Today, the Great Lakes water is protected by the Great Lakes Compact, a legally binding interstate agreement between Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and the Canadian provinces of Ontario and Quebec. Now let's take a look at Colorado. This state is known for its rectangular shape, but its real borders are not as straight as they appear on maps.
See, you do have a lot of straight looking borders over there, but obviously they cannot be as straight as they seem. Absolutely not.
When Colorado
Things
was
get in the
created
way.
in 1876, its borders were meant to follow specific lines of latitude and longitude. However, the tools used for surveying in the 19th century were not as precise as modern GPS technology, leading to slight inaccuracies.
Oh, so it went the opposite way to what I was thinking. Well, not the opposite way, completely different to what I was thinking. I was thinking it weren't completely straight. It is. They're kind of like that, aren't they? They got it off by a few degrees or something. That's what they're going to say. I was thinking that the line's not straight. It's a bit wonky.
Over time, as more accurate surveys have been conducted, minor corrections have been made to the state's boundaries. These changes are mostly imperceptible to the average person, but demonstrate how
The landscape that
geography
keeps showing
and
is
human
beautiful
technology
too.
can influence the way we define political borders. The same phenomenon can be found in other states with supposedly straight borders. Surprisingly, the largest rainforest in the United States isn't located in Hawaii or Florida, but in Alaska. The Tongass National
I wouldn't have a clue. I wouldn't. If someone asked me to guess where the biggest rainforest is in America, the US, I wouldn't have a clue. I wouldn't even try and guess. I can't even think. Never even thought about rainforests in the US.
forest, covering over 16.7 million acres, is the largest national forest in the country and is also a temperate rainforest. Located in southeast Alaska, it forms part of the Pacific Temperate Rainforest, the largest remaining temperate rainforest in the world. The Tongass is characterized by its dense old-growth forests of Sitka spruce, western hemlock, and red cedar, along with a rich array of wildlife including bears, wolves, and salmon. The forest plays a crucial role in local ecosystems, supporting biodiversity and regulating the climate by absorbing carbon dioxide. It's also a vital resource for the indigenous communities who have lived in the region for thousands of years. However, as with other rainforests, the Tongass is threatened by logging and climate change, sparking debates about conservation efforts. In California, Mount Whitney and Death Valley are only 85 miles apart, yet they represent two of the most extreme points in the contiguous United States. Mount Whitney, standing at 14,505 feet, is the tallest mountain in the lower 48 states, while Badwater Basin in Death Valley, at 282 feet below sea level, is the lowest point. This proximity between such extreme elevations is a result of the unique tectonic and erosional forces that shape California.
That's just reminded me, before I started today, I was just having a look through the shorts, YouTube shorts on my telly, and an American lady saying, UK culture shocks, saying that she can't believe that she's going onto the beach without paying. I have never heard of this in my life. Do you have to pay to go on beaches over there? I know I could Google it, but I like reading the comments from you guys to help me out a hell of a lot more than the videos do. But I went into the comments on that YouTube short, and it said, one of the first comments was, no, you don't have to pay to go to the beach. You just have to pay for a bracelet to access the water or something. I do not know, but I'd never heard that. So let me know in the comments, is that a thing? You have to pay to get on a beach? You can't. I've never heard that. Surely that's not true, is it?
California's landscape.
If so, not all of them anyway, surely.
The stretching and thinning. This proximity between such extreme elevations is a result of the unique tectonic and erosional forces that shape California's landscape. Death Valley's basin formed due to the stretching and thinning of the Earth's crust, while Mount Whitney rose from tectonic collisions. Together, they highlight the dramatic geologic diversity of the state. The Mississippi River Basin is one of the largest drainage systems in the world, covering 1.2 million square miles and draining water from 41% of the United States. The basin spans 31 states and includes major rivers like the Missouri and Ohio, all flowing into the Mississippi River before emptying into the Gulf of Mexico. This vast watershed is essential for agriculture, transportation, and freshwater resources in the U.S. The Mississippi River alone is about 2,340 miles long, making it the second longest river in the country, behind the Missouri River, a tributary of the Mississippi. The river basin supports a variety of ecosystems, from wetlands and forests to prairies and mountains, and is home to millions of people and countless species of wildlife. However, the river system is also prone to flooding and faces significant environmental issues such as pollution from agricultural runoff. Once these nutrients, vital for farming, end up in the Gulf, they feed algae, which chokes off any other marine life present. But the size of the Mississippi is not even the most interesting fact about this famous river. In 1811 and 1812, a series of massive earthquakes in the central United States caused the Mississippi River to flow backward temporarily. The New Madrid earthquakes, as they became known, were so powerful that they caused ground subsidence, which forced the river to reverse its course in some places. The shaking caused waterfalls to form in certain stretches of the river, and eyewitnesses reported seeing...
So it kind of just tilted it back, opposed to the flow changing, it kind of tilted it back.
Water moving upstream. This event is one of the most remarkable in U.S. geologic history and demonstrates the power of tectonic forces even far away from active fault lines. Today, seismic activity in the New Madrid seismic zone still poses a risk to the region.
The graveyard of the Pacific Ocean.
The graveyard of the Pacific is a treacherous stretch of coastline along the Pacific Northwest, particularly the waters around the Columbia River Bar, where more than 2,000 ships have met their fate. This notorious area stretches from Oregon's coast to Vancouver Island, British Columbia, and is infamous for its dangerous weather conditions, strong currents, and shifting sandbars. In fact, the Columbia Bar is one of the most hazardous river entrances in the world. Where the powerful Columbia River meets the Pacific Ocean, extreme waves and shifting sand create perilous conditions that have claimed countless ships. This hazardous area has been a threat to ship captains for centuries as stormy weather, dense fog, and sudden changes in water depth frequently cause vessels to run aground, capsize, or collide with hidden obstacles. Efforts to mitigate these dangers have included the construction of lighthouses, jetties, and a highly skilled team of Columbia Bar pilots who help guide ships safely across the bar. Despite these measures, the region's volatile nature continues to make it a dangerous area for navigation, maintaining its reputation as the graveyard of the Pacific. Kentucky's Mammoth Cave National Park is home to the longest cave system in the world, with over 400 miles of explored passages and potentially many more yet to be discovered. Mammoth Cave has a rich history.
There's bound to be loads to be discovered, like there is everywhere. Stuff of all sorts of things to be discovered everywhere. Yeah, I haven't found everything yet.
With indigenous peoples using the caves thousands of years ago, and modern explorers continuing to map its vast network of tunnels. The cave system is formed from limestone and shaped by the slow action of groundwater eroding the rock over millions of years. It contains a diverse array of subterranean ecosystems, including unique species of fish and bats. The cave's size and complexity make it a marvel of natural geology.
I think the tube system in London here has got its own species of mosquito, I believe. Oh, it's a myth, I don't know. But I've heard that there's a specific species of mosquito to the underground. The underground, that's what you guys call yours, isn't it? The tube. Tube.
Did you know the U.S. is home to both hot and cold deserts? Unlike the hot deserts of the American Southwest, the Great Basin, located in Nevada and Utah, experiences cold winters, often with snowfall. However, as temperatures rise and precipitation patterns vary due to climate change, the desert's boundaries are slowly extending. This expansion impacts local ecosystems, water resources, and agriculture. The Great Basin is already one of the driest areas in North America, and its growth highlights the broader environmental challenges of a warming planet.
But Hawaii is also literally growing.
Hawaii, specifically the Big Island, is the only...
It will grow. It's a tiny island with volcano. I might be getting this wrong. I'm sure it's got a volcano on there. Yeah, it's bound to grow. It's growing extra rock.
Only U.S. state that's
as the volcano goes
growing.
off.
This is due to the ongoing volcanic activity.
Makes a lot of sense.
One of the most active
Kilauea, of course. Yeah.
volcanoes on Earth. When lava from Kilauea flows into the ocean, it cools and solidifies.
Is that actual footage out there?
When lava from Kilauea flows into the ocean, it cools and solidifies, adding new land to the island's coastline. Over the past few decades, Kilauea has continuously erupted, increasing the island's size by hundreds of acres. The volcanic activity also shapes Hawaii's landscapes, from black sand beaches to towering lava cliffs. While the eruptions can be destructive to human settlements, they are also responsible for creating the fertile, lush landscapes that make Hawaii so unique. There's many more fascinating geographic facts about the United States, but those will have to wait for another video on another day. Until then, send me your favorite fun geography facts about your state or country. Who knows? Maybe they'll be made into a video. You just...
Right, that was good. Let me know whether you want me to check more of these videos. Let me know which ones I should check out. Yeah, the Hawaii one, the growing, it makes so much sense with a volcano. But yeah, fascinating. I don't know about whether I'll win any pub quizzes with any of these questions, because my brain doesn't keep things in there very long. So yeah, I have to keep learning more and more stuff. So let me know in the comments sort of things you want me to check out, and I'll be sure to do it. But yeah, if you made it this far, give us a thumbs up and all that good stuff if you want to, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye. Bye bye.